tripod's struggling. Aren't we all? There we go. All right, folks. Happy Sunday scaries. We're gonna make some dumplings and talk and hang out if you want, and if you don't want, leave. Do what you will. I'm gonna log into my computer so I can read the chat. Hi, Grease. 2 a.m. is pretty late, but you know what? I don't blame you. Haven't been getting a lot of good sleep these days for good reasons. Hi, England. Kitchen is a bit of a mess, so we'll do a little cleaning before I get started on the dumpling making, but let's see how long the dumpling making takes. If we can, I'm only making enough dumplings with our leftover fillings and a half batch of dough. If we can get the filling done by 9, I would like to organize my spice rack a little bit. It's getting sort of out of control. And it would be nice to feel a little more organized, especially since seasonal depression is on the way. We have genocide ongoing. A lot of things to consider as we continue our life together forward into the future, which is the now. And my brain is starting to slow down. I feel a little bit guilty about it, and it feels like, you know, we haven't been able to do much to stop the killings, which checks out. You know, historically it takes a lot at the same time to make change happen in time for avoiding casualties, and we have not succeeded on that front this time around. That's not to say that we should stop. I think when we get our breath, we need to keep pushing, because as I said before, it's not about other people. It is, but it's also about us, ourselves, who we choose to become. We're constantly in the act of becoming, whether or not we want to acknowledge it. It's what defines being alive. And hi, Malaysia. Hi, St. Louis peeps. A lot of things in my life don't feel consequential, which is absolutely, I think, correct. I think when you see people dying so fast, so suddenly, in such immense numbers, and under pretty fucking horrific terms, and rhetoric, it inevitably changes the way you think about life, right? Thank you for your distraction. This style choice tonight is not intentional. This is sorry guys, I'm on my period. My brain's really slow, my body's kind of struggling, but this vest of sorts is a cashmere vest that I've been washed and shrunken over the years to like fit me like a muscle tank, but when I first bought it, it was in middle school and it was at a Gap store in Forest Hills where I lived with my mom at the time. And it was so long and big that it went down to my thighs. Obviously, I've also grown taller and fatter since middle school. Um, but yeah, so this has been with me for over a decade now, I think, potentially, and I've had this when mom was still alive. Um, it's funny because I wear her clothes these days, and it makes me feel so. I don't know if it makes me feel comforted, but it just makes me feel less alone. Um, okay, guys, I'm gonna continue cleaning my counter. We're gonna wipe it down. We're gonna do some dumplings. We might clean the side of the kitchen, but like, it's fine. It's seen worse this week. I don't know. There's not much more to say, huh? Do you guys actually think social media is making our world a better place, or is it making it a worse place, or is it just like zero-sum game? Like, do you think social media has actually affected the way we think about justice and human rights and our responsibility as citizens of the world, or do you think it's just made everyone more chaotic and more dispersed and more overwhelmed and directionless? I think it's a little bit of both, but I'm curious about what you think. I think for one, our ready access to news has become increasingly mentally challenging. I wonder if we are acclimating to being dealt the news constantly like this. And I wonder if this acclimation of sorts is leading us to take less action because we've normalized feeling bad. It's overwhelming, yeah? I saw a post that made a really good point about how, all of the eyes of the world are on what's happening in Palestine right now, and there are so many other civil wars and genocides and like continued injustice that we haven't been paying attention to naturally. And it just makes me like even more it makes me feel like I should give up. And obviously that's a personal decision, I guess, in our self-centered world. But I don't quite know anymore. I mean, maybe this is the future, right? Maybe it is kind of an echo of the wealth gap that's been happening, is the info gap, and also the apathy gap. I feel like there's a portion of my friends who are resigned, which, I totally understand, to continued acts of violence, injustice, and just like total contradiction of the world we've been taught we live in, the world that we've been taught we should endorse. and it causes so much depression, right? To see that everything we've been taught is not actually what wins out in life, not actually what's prioritized. But I think that's also giving into this thinking that there is only one way to win in our society, and that's through controlling the narrative that is the most mainstream, the most funded financially, and the most echoed by the powers that be, such as media. I wonder if there is a way of reframing our lives where we don't have to win against the media, the power, the money, the injustice, and we just try to constantly do what is right. And I wonder if, as we grow more hopeless through witnessing the contradictions of our world, if we might in a contented way give up the sense of self and stop worrying about how our personal well-being in a society that doesn't value communal well-being should be relegated in a way that actually brings us more fulfillment than if we were to concentrate on our self-fulfillment. A sort of contradiction of sorts to match the contradiction that exists in the rest of society. How do we move away from the model of self-well-being and towards communal well-being in a way that doesn't negate the self, but rather strengthens the self, because it enables us to see ourselves reflected in the world that is beyond this particular body, this particular apartment, this particular worldview. If that is truly what liberation might be, because how can we win in a world that upholds the self as a unit that should be most prioritized? I think that's a self-defeating framework, right? Currently I can't see any chat. I don't know if you can see me or hear me. I'm constantly thinking about censorship. I'm constantly thinking about how these platforms are built to silence messages that don't actually contribute to, the main theme of our lives now, which is profit. But yeah, I don't know. So dumplings, right? That's good. I'm glad you can see me and hear me. Like, maybe this goes hand in hand with me feeling suicidal lately. It's not, I want to take away some of the taboo around saying the words feeling suicidal. I don't want anyone to freak out about, like, me wanting to kill myself. That's not what I'm saying here. What I'm saying is I feel so much misery that it makes me feel like the way that life is being lived right now for me doesn't seem to make sense. So lately I've been feeling suicidal because I just don't see how this framework works. But maybe everything that I've been saying is aligned with that feeling of hopelessness, frustration, like cursed anger. And I've been thinking about, like, does anyone watch The Witcher? God, Henry Cavill. I don't remember the name of the mage who's like his love interest, and I'm so sorry to define her in that way of relationship to the man protagonist, but unfortunately that's the way I see her. But you know the mage, the main mage, and how she was like so angry at her physical deformities and how it was unfair for other people to judge her because of her physical deformities. And her teacher or her mentor was basically like, you are angry, you have to direct this anger, harness it, and use it, right? Yennefer, yes, Yennefer. So I've been thinking about how it is that we can, how I can take a lesson from the anger, the sadness, the depression, the feelings of suicidal justice. I've been wondering about how do I balance these narratives of personal responsibility with a decontextualization of the focus on the self, which means a contextualization of the self within others. Yeah, like, how is your contribution even impactful, right? Everybody was like, get out the vote. And then we vote, and, you know, most of us reluctantly vote because we don't like any of the candidates. And we end up with a fucking president, like Joe Biden, which, you know, for those of us who saw beyond the paradox of a democracy that only has two parties, that's mostly run by moneyed interests, it's always been obvious that this is a losing game. Like, how do you feel like you can do anything in a game that's not set up for you to win it? And that playing in this game just makes you more complicit. And I've been thinking through these things mostly because I feel like if I don't think through these things, I'm going to become more miserable. And it's really hard, right? Like, internet culture, we're all frustrated. We're all seeing these images, these videos of people, like, being killed, of people of all ages, mourning. Images of mourning is not easy to sit through. And, you know, we have messages from accounts telling us, like, Palestinians are asking us to not look away, that we have to bear witness to this, that, you know, like, they have a blackout, they don't want to be left alone, and so we do, we witness it, and we feel their despair, and we feel the despair echoed in ourselves, and we feel it taking over our sense of agency, which I think is an illusion to begin with anyway, but very pronounced in these times where we have absolutely, seemingly no control, even though we try to, you know, divest, sanction, boycott, protest, share, shame, guilt, call, cry, scream. Oh my God, guys. The other day I came back from grandma where also, you know, grandma's losing it. So like that's also affecting my personal mental health. She's becoming more and more tuned into her reality that is not my reality. And I came back, and the title of this live is Grandma Hates These Dumplings, because the dumpling filling that we're about to use is the dumpling filling that we made on the last live, is a dumpling filling that has celery in it. And it turns out that Grandma really hates the taste of celery. And every day I give her this batch of dumplings that I've made, she asks me, what is the strange flavor in these dumplings? And I tell her it's celery, Grandma. She was like, yeah, this is so weird. This is such a weird taste. And I was like, okay, well, you can either eat it or you can not eat it. Because I spent hours making this for you, and it makes me really sad that you don't like it, but, you know, I also don't have time to make another one. And she'll also tell me that in the mornings, if I just make a little leavened dough, I can make her mantou, which is steamed bun, which is not at all that easy to make, guys. Like, as you know, with breads that are yeasted, you have to proof them. Then you have to steam them. Then you have to wait to lift the lid so that the steam is trapped in there so that the buns don't fall flat and collapse and look like a wrinkly anus. But Grandma thinks it's very easy in her mind, like, of course I have time to do all of these things. And it's very hard for me to feel like I've put in a lot into making food for her, and she doesn't even like it. So Grandma hates these dumplings. But I'm going to continue making her these dumplings because I'm convinced that she would rather have these dumplings than not have these dumplings, because guess what? Despite all her complaints, she's still eating them. But anyway, after that day of visiting her, I came back, I put my bags down, I put my keys down, and I just screamed. Like my apartment door was closed. I'm sure my neighbors heard me because it was a very loud scream. And it was unlike any other scream I've ever produced. During the pandemic, I produced a lot of screams. Poor Erin. One time I even locked myself into our tiny closet that I could still squish my body into vertically. And I closed the door and I warned him, and I said, you know, I'm gonna scream. I'm just gonna let you know, because I did scream before during the pandemic without warning him, and it almost triggered his heart condition. So that was not good on my part. But we've all been there, right? During the pandemic, feeling stress, feeling trapped, feeling all sorts of things. This time I screamed, and it was nothing like my previous screams. It was low, it rumbled, it echoed within my body. I felt it rocking my chest, maybe even my diaphragm a little. It came out of a place of this, I don't even think it was grief. It was just I can't process this anymore kind of scream, you know? So how do we process this? How do we continue to process all of this? Sometimes I think about, you know how you think through nonsensical questions and scenarios in your mind, and you ask yourself things like, how many strangers' lives are worth my own? Or maybe this is just something that I do. I ask myself, how many people would I be willing to die for? People that I don't know. Think about it. I think about it. And I think that kind of questioning comes from this society too that tells us everything has a value, everything can be exchanged for something else, everything is tradable, everything is consumable, everything is commerce-based, driven, inspired, motivated. Everything is a commodity, including human lives. So I think that's why I feel so bratty and spoiled sometimes when I think about the fact that I have to take care of my grandma. And I feel like, man, I can't live my own life. I can't make my own decisions. Like, I have to take grandma into consideration always. But maybe this is the way my mind should be thinking all the fucking time, and not just for my family members too. And why is it that I've been trained to not think in that way? Why is it that I've been trained to thinking about what I deserve, what I want? And how does this way of thinking make me both miserable and ashamed of myself? Because on the other hand of individualism and egocentrism is also this fairy tale sorts of modest morality that we should always be altruistic. We should always help other people. We should always be a good person. But like, our society's values don't allow us to do that. It's the same kind of thing when we blame poor people, low-income families in underserved communities for being poor. Like, we have this whole narrative that is derived from Calvinistic beliefs that, like, if you're poor, then you deserve it. You must have sinned. You must have done something. And this is the society that makes us hate ourselves, and it makes us question others, and it makes the entire existence that we lead into our main enemy. And it makes it intolerable to make sense. Nothing makes sense in this framework. Everything is a contradiction. So how do I process this? Like, I can't just become Buddha overnight. I can't just practice detachment. I can meditate. I can try to center myself, or rather decenter myself, and decenter my thoughts, and practice only concentrating on my breath. But like, even the act of meditation being used as a tool plays into the system of self-care, self-regulation, self-well-being, self. How do you actually meditate as a lifestyle instead of segregating this one act into an activity that's done because it brings you something? We've made the act of meditation into a lifestyle to be sold and not a lifestyle to live by. How do I stop selling shit to myself, I guess, is my question. Because this world wants us to buy everything. It wants us to end world hunger. It wants us to institute world peace. It wants us to be our best version of ourselves. It wants us to both succeed and thrive. To dominate, to slay, and then it asks us to condemn the slaying. And we are complicit in this contradiction. We are complicit in this paradox. And we're supposed to be happy somehow. I'm not sure how. Have you figured it out? Destabilizing happens when you decontextualize the self. And that's what we've been doing. Capitalism loves the decontextualization of the self. Capitalism loves to make you feel like you're important and enabled enough to be you. Do you. And it sells us this fantasy that we can be us if we just play the game right. And the more we play the game, the less of ourselves we become. I'm not even sure what's the game anymore. Maybe it all is the game. Maybe this is what like Derrida meant when he said there is no outside text. Like you can't escape it. It's all here. You're gonna be here until you die. And hell, we've even capitalized after death. We've even managed to capitalize on the afterlife. Not to shit on all religions, because, you know, not all are intentioned to function this way, but man oh man, have we abused the institution of the religion, or rather nurtured it into what it is, to become a business. We have also co-opted science to be a religion for profit as well. So is the case with statistics. Everything that is a science is also a humanities, and everything that is a humanities is easily manipulative and manipulated. Because that's all we know how to do anymore, is manipulate life, manipulate nature, manipulate ourselves into becoming what we want it to become. And what do we become when we don't know what we want anymore? Because we are being fed contradictions. So, all of that to say, I don't feel good. I have a convincing suspicion that a lot of us don't feel good. Maybe it's because of Palestine, but it's probably because of everything. And Palestine just brought it all to the surface. Seeing how fragile and easily dominated and destroyed human life can be brings out the realization of our mortality. The singular mortality that capitalism loves to remind us of in order to sell us solutions to something that is not solvable. Death is not solvable. Capitalism has made us hate death. Capitalism has made us label death and decline as a boogeyman, and it has turned our existence against nature, because death is in nature. It's not that like we're sad that Palestinians are dying. We're sad that Palestinians are being murdered. And we're sad that we're allowing it to happen. Not us, literally, not us individually, but us, collectively. We are allowing it to happen. We are playing into a system where we are afraid of being punished individually for speaking out. We are afraid of not paying our taxes because then we'll like be fined and jailed and punished. We're afraid of being fired. We're afraid of losing our livelihoods. We are complicit. I'm not judging any of us because I too am complicit. I can't condemn everyone, and there's no point to condemning everyone, even though I do see social media posts that condemn people. And I think those condemnations come out of a sense of justice, but also come out of a sense of deep grief. The condemnations that we are not doing enough, that are being voiced on social media, yes, valid. But productive? I'm not sure, because I think we're all just mourning at how much we've all been castrated. We've allowed ourselves to be castrated. On the one hand, we know that we can do a certain set of behaviors and actions and think a certain set of thoughts to keep ourselves alive and surviving. But to thrive? What does that even mean? Do we even know what it means to thrive anymore? Given the fact that, like, we can witness a genocide happening and do nothing about it, and that we can sense how scared we are deep down inside to try to do something about it, how scared we are of punishment, how scared we are of our own personal deaths, the fact that we value our life so much and that our life does not really seem to cooperate and value us back. What is the system that we're abiding by? And is it actually killing us slowly from the inside out while we try to preserve our lives from the outside in? And we never reach the end because we're always told to focus on the out, told to focus on our beauty, our youth, our fitness, our decor, our furniture, our status, the way that other people perceive us, whether or not other people accept us. And again, I'm not blaming anyone. I'm just bemoaning the fact that I'm also in this horde of people who are afraid of the exact same things. Godzilla, you want us to all Venmo you? Do you? You can drop your Venmo in the chat box. I'm serious. Like, this is mutual aid, right? Virtualized? I'm sure we can't, like, mutual aid everyone. Maybe we can mutual aid everyone. Fuck it. What am I saying? Drop your Venmo in the chat box if you don't have enough money left in your bank account to pay for next month's rent. Like, seriously, don't feel bad. This is the way we build community. I see people on Instagram all the time posting stories asking people to donate to strangers' Venmos because they're at risk of eviction and at risk of, you know, losing healthcare and whatnot. And you're a stranger, but not a stranger, because we've known you here for a couple of years now. But same for anyone else in the chat, not to just call out one person. Sorry if I put you on the spot, but like, I don't know, man. I don't know. This is making me rethink a lot of things. What is keeping us from helping people we don't know? What is keeping us from helping people that we do know? Like when my mom died and how my neighbor stepped up. So, I don't know, every time it rains, T-Mobile internet cuts off. I'm on my hotspot now, so it might be super potato-y. But y'all let me know. But yeah. So, I don't know. I've been talking a lot. I've been talking for almost 40 minutes now. I haven't had a chance to read comments much. But that's what's going through my brain right now. You know, like, my body's been reeling a little bit. My mind's been reeling a little bit, along with everybody else. People are dying on the other side of the world, and I see the images. And I try to find the communities that feel the way that I do, to bolster myself, to try to make enough of a wave to hit the other side of the world, but I don't know if it's doing shit. We do have a stack of dumpling wrappers though, aren't they cute? Also, the feeling like we're speaking on someone else's property. You know, like we're talking right now on YouTube. I say these thoughts on Instagram. They're owned by tech giants. Like, whose game am I really playing here? Every day it feels like that Black Mirror episode. Season 1, episode 2, what is it, 50 Million Merits? Is that the name of the episode? Fuck, man, that episode. You have to watch it. That's our lives now. I also can't see you anymore because I'm reading comments purely on my phone. So I have to bring you closer so I can read you. So now you can look at the close-up of my rolling. I mean, I'm limiting my screen time by hanging out with people in real life, but that also makes me feel guilty on some level, you know? Like, screen time is the only way to get news from Gaza, and now Gaza is undergoing blackout, and, you know, people in the West Bank and other parts of Palestine are protesting along with the rest of the world, and it's hard to limit screen time because I want to know what's going on. I want to know how the people are dying. I want to know how the people are resisting. I want to know how the people are fighting back. I want to know if I can be a part of that resistance. Maybe I am, maybe I'm not enough. I don't know. But if I stop watching, then I feel disconnected, right? Aren't we all kind of in this loop? The potato is potatoing? Is it because I moved the camera? Is it more potato now, or was it more potato before I moved the phone? Should I open the window? Will it help the connection? It's like hash browns? Oh no. Well guys, what can I say? There are worse things, right? We now know that there are way worse things. To have a potato at all is lovely. So how are we feeling about Palestine now? Now that we've had 3 weeks pass by of increasing violence, of pro-genocide rhetoric. How is the New York City Jewish community I can't read. How is the New York Jewish community reacting to the support for Palestinians? One of my Jewish friends messaged me saying I had to do more research before speaking out for your Jewish friend might be a Zionist, because on Friday night in Grand Central Station, one of the transportation hubs in New York City, we had Jews for Peace, JVP. It's an organization with nationwide branches. Thousands maybe of people showed up, did a sit-in Grand Central Station, effectively shut that transportation hub down because of how packed they were in there. I was about 25 minutes late to the 6 p.m. start time, and I was only on the streets in the peripheral of the surrounding blocks of Grand Central Station, and once we started mobilizing and marching, the cops shut it down immediately, and the organizers told on the ground volunteers to try to not get into arguments with cops because they didn't want people getting arrested. But they ended up arresting over 300 protesters who were inside Grand Central Station. There was a video capturing the protesters being arrested, being handcuffed. There was approximately 1 cop per 1 to 2 protesters. It was an insane number of cops that were mobilized to keep this protest in check, in line, and suppressed. The amount of money that this government is spending not only to facilitate a genocide, but to also shut down protests speaking out against the genocide, it depends on the Jews you're talking about, right? The Jewish community, like any other ethnic and demographic community, is not a monolith. I think we learned this in 2020 during the BLM movement, right? You can't lump all people together under one demographic. There are Jews that are Zionists. There are Jews that are anti-Zionism. There are Jews that believe for freedom, for Palestine and independence and peace. And there are Jews that think Palestinians deserve to die. So I can't speak for all Jews. I'm not one. I can't give an opinion on that, but I can tell you that there is a very large number of Jewish people in New York City who believe in the liberation of the Palestinians, who believe in their struggle for liberation. So, like, for your friends to tell you that in order to shut you down, ask them what news sources they want you to read. That's my go-to tactic now for anyone who criticizes me for my views. Show me your sources. And if you can't back up what you're saying with sources, and it can't just be any source. If they're a source who's had Wikipedia articles written up on them about how fucked up their views are, how controversial their views are, how contradictory their views are, and who they're funded by and what platforms they speak on, those all inform that source. So for people who do nothing but to shut other people down, I don't know. I don't know if I need to listen to them. Every time I bring up money, people accuse me of being anti-Semitic. And I'm like, no, this is our tax money funding weapons that the IDF is using to commit genocide, to commit war crimes. This is also my money funding NYPD overtime to shut down protests that are speaking out for human rights, for anti-genocide. So no, I simply do not agree. Money is money is money. White people can definitely, and historically have, abused their money, resources, and power to oppress others. But so can Asians, and so can Jews, and so can blacks. You know, like, our mayor is a black man who has not done anything for the people of the city. So be careful. When other people tell you to shut up, ask them why. And ask them what it is they want you to believe. Ask them in a manner that is truly bordering neutral. Because I want to know how they are justifying their stances in trying to shut me up. I've been trying to call my congressional member and nobody picks up her phone, even though the voicemail on the phone says call us during business hours on weekdays, and I did. Both of my calls were placed on weekdays during business hours. Her name is Grace Meng. She's sounds pretty Chinese to me. So she's not on the list of congressional members who are supportive of a ceasefire. Why? And by the way, guys, there is no like both sides here. This is state violence, okay? The citizens are not asking for this conflict. No one wants to be covered under war and violence. This is a state agenda. This is a money issue. This is a power issue. This is not identity. This is not about culture or religion anymore. This has always been about state violence. The creation of Israel started with trying to give Jews who were going through a genocide of their own in World War II, and Britain, good old Britain, decided to give them land in Palestine, where people were already living. Why did you not give them land in Europe? Well, currently, it seems like the Israeli government is trying to kill the people, you know, kill as many as possible, so that they have less aftermath to deal with. I believe that meets the definition of a genocide. You know, there is a good argument that the creation of Israel was in itself anti-Semitism. Why would you choose to give a people lacking a homeland someone else's homeland? Why are you not making their violators give up land? You have to drag an innocent third party into this? Adrian, I'm not sure who you're referring to anymore with the word you. If you'd like to clarify that, by all means, do. Okay, well, you can feel sorry for a person without hurting another person in the process of apologizing to the first person that you hurt. It really doesn't make sense to steal someone else's doll and then to apologize and then take yet another person's doll and give it to the person that you stole the doll from. You still took their doll. Like, what the fuck? Well, you can change the Bibles any which way you want. Right. Well, that goes back to the fact that even if it were a colony, then that shows you exactly how Britain was functioning, right? Certainly, they don't give a shit about human rights if they are still colonizing other people, colonizing other lands. So, how was the creation of the State of Israel at all an offering? You still stole the land. That's what colonization means. It's stolen land. It's state violence. I don't know what people who are in government feel like they're doing. Like, this is something that truly never made sense in my mind. I guess their brains are just different. But, like, what is there to gain from being a violent dictator? Okay, but what is power good for? Like, everything is currency to get something, right? Like, you wouldn't work for money if you couldn't buy anything with money. So what does power mean to them? Like, what kind of change does this affect in their lives that make them think this is worth doing? Right. I do think it is PR for trade, for sure. I mean, people talking about stocks going up because of the war, weapons sales, it generates business for certain industries. This is what we mean by the military industrial complex, you know? When a nation builds its wealth on selling weapons of mass destruction, oh my god, the irony of ironies. Whew, can't believe it took me that long to connect those dots. Jesus Christ, where have I been? I understand in terms of the abstraction of governments being useful to each other in terms of world power and domination. I'm just not sure what the specific people, like, for example, Joe Biden, think they're getting out of this. Do you think it might be misplaced beliefs in a purpose that doesn't, sorry, chat disappeared, connect, ooh, doesn't connect with the realities around us? Well, what are the realities around us, right? I no longer know what my reality is. Kind of like how grandma doesn't know what her reality is anymore. Or rather, I should say, grandma knows what her reality is, it simply doesn't line up with mine. Grandma seems very convinced that she's seeing what she's seeing. It's just that I don't see what she's seeing. So for Grandma, I'm like kind of an enemy or oppressor of sorts when I tell her that her reality isn't real. So like, who am I to say that reality isn't the way that you're perceiving it, or that reality isn't the way that, you know, Zionists are perceiving it? Maybe reality is that. I don't know. I don't want it to be that way. I don't want to live in a world like that. That's terrifying for me. If we're gonna go all postmodern shit on this. Well, apparently Obama was the one who signed the $38 billion promise to Israel in 2014. So, as long as you're president of an imperial state like the US, your job is to do the needful. And the needful often includes violence, state violence. So again, what does it mean to be a president of a country that commits war crimes? And yes, I'm referring to the US now. We have committed so many war crimes. The Vietnam War, Aaron just gave me a rundown on all the atrocities that were definitely war crimes in Vietnam. Hi, UK. We were just talking about you, UK. Oh my gosh. Your country has done a lot of things, huh? Not blaming you, just your country. Okay, well, that's it. That's it for our dumpling making series. I hope you've enjoyed. Should we organize our spices? What happens if you microwave the wrapper? Do you want to see me do it? Sorry, I'm going to read some of your comments. I'm going to scroll up on my phone. I also have the burps. I ate so much peanuts today. It's stressy. She's filling the dumps with the history of injustice. That's why Grandma doesn't like celery. Yeah, you're right. June from another June. I think that we must believe in the power we wield. Somehow the popular voice will prevail. As long as we work very, very hard, which hundreds of thousands of allies have been doing. Yeah, I think we have to keep at it. I think on the one hand, it's keeping us alive, you know, non-Palestinians who believe in a world that is better than what we're seeing right now. Just to know for ourselves that we can be voices of reason, even if our society has become unreasonable, even if reason isn't rewarded. Maybe we can find some sort of alternative reward that capitalism doesn't really consider to be successful. Lando says, but if Grandma and you have different realities, is the concept of fundamental connections as a species inherently flawed? And if that makes it more or less of a reason we should strive for a bond? Deep questions. I don't think the concept of fundamental connections is inherently flawed. I think Grandma and I still are connected. It's just that we have very different sensory input and interpretations of our world. I just saw a video that's like put into perspective how limited human experience is of our world. The fact that we can only see a very small sliver of the light spectrum that manifests as colors through our eyeballs, input in our brain centers as interpretation. The very limited sound wave frequency that we can hear. There are sounds that are out of our auditory frequency that we can hear. We can't pick up certain sounds. For example, we can't hear when plants scream when we cut them. So we think that plants don't hurt. Maybe they don't hurt in the way that humans hurt, but maybe they hurt in another way. So it's not that connection is flawed. I think it's that perception is wider than we can acknowledge right now. I think it goes beyond our understanding. And maybe that's what like religious people mean when they say we can't understand the mystery of God. Girl, you don't have to apologize for a whole ass country with a whole ass history of oppression. Like, it ain't on you. But I think we have to acknowledge history collectively together as people of this species if we want to do something different. Yes, we have 3 wrappers left. We can microwave it if you want. Is that what you want? Is that true? Is that truly what you want, folks? Truly? You want me to just put it on a plate and microwave it and see where this goes? We can do it. Let's do a plain one first and see where this goes. Should we oil it? Let's do one plain first. We have 3. We have 3 to fuck with. Huh? Let's fuck with it. YOLO, guys. Do it before you die. Could happen anytime now. I think I'm gonna start making this more of a normal feature on lives, where I ask people the question of, if you knew you were gonna die in a week, what are you gonna do with your life? Just as fun, but also as a way to get our brains more attuned to thinking about doing the things that we want to do, taking the time concept out of the way capitalism has made us frame time, because capitalism has made us frame time as a commodity, right? It's something that you like have to be efficient with, and that you have to maximize, and you have to squeeze everything you can out of the time that you're given. And if you are not having enough time, you have to manufacture more time somehow. Multitasking, everything for efficiency. So tell me, what would you do with 1 week left to live? What would you do with 1 week left to live? Did you think this would happen? Did you think this would happen? Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? Tastes great. Tastes great. We're gonna put a little oil and a little spice. Okay, this is the spice that I used 2 lives ago. Grilling Out steak seasoning. Tastes like Montreal steak seasoning with a little bit of Tex-Mex meets Colorado twist. I believe that's what I wrote in my newsletter. So we're just gonna oil this, a little dab of oil. I'm gonna put a little seasoning on top. $30, that's the magic number. Whoa. Oil prevented it from flaking, but guess what? It looks like a papad now. Or I was told on a Budget Eats episode that it's not pronounced papad, even though it's spelled like P-A-P-A-D, it's called papar. Or something like that. Unfortunately, I don't really know if I'm speaking it right or wrong, but here we see a little bubbly blister texture. It's a little crispy looking. Okay. This is good too. A little spicy, a little salty, paprika, cumin, maybe coriander. Give you a little snap. All right, final one. We're gonna go without oil because I wanna see it puff again. I wanna see if we can replicate the puff. I wonder if that was like a one-time thing. Science. Can we replicate the results? This might be one of my favorite collabs too, the tutto porchetta. It's supposed to make everything taste like a roasted Italian pork. Guys, we have to organize so many spices. Well, we don't have to. We don't have to do anything we don't want to. We don't have to do anything we don't want to anymore. I'm gonna pretend that we only have 1 week left to live every week. So I'm not even gonna worry about health insurance anymore. It's out of my mind. The newsletter is through Burlap and Barrel. It's not my personal newsletter. Although, if I get kicked off of Instagram and YouTube, I might start a Substack. If there was one spice that you could use for a month, what would it be? Like a singular spice or a spice mix too? Ooh, it's hot. We're gonna let it cool. Garlic is kind of a spice though, garlic powder. I don't know. Fuck, is salt in there? Like, can I choose salt? Or is salt a preconditioned give? Wow. The grill rub, the steak seasoning was better matched, but that might be because they had oil on it. I still think the first one was like very impressively puffy. We did not replicate it to that degree, but we replicated some form of it. Yes, you did create a new favorite snack for me, thank you. All you need is flour, sugar. Actually, there's no sugar in there. Flour, salt, and water. I'm gonna see if Wi-Fi is back. Supposedly it is. So let's see if I can log back into my laptop and view comments on the big screen. Guys, we have 40% left of battery, so I'm gonna try to organize a little bit of the spice. I was actually thinking of organizing it per the Burlap and Barrel site. So I'm going to see the categories on burlapandbarrel.com, because I think that's gonna make it easier for me to see how the categories are organized. So if you go on the site, sorry, my internet's super slow. You can go to shop, and then they have these categories. So they have blends, cardamom, chilies and paprika, cinnamon, herbs, onion and garlic, peppercorns and vanilla. I'm gonna guess that some of them don't actually fit in there, huh? Okay, so you tell me if connection drops, but here's what we're dealing with. So much spice. I think I'm gonna have to pull them all out of the shelves, and we're gonna have to clean the shelves first, because I've been working for Burlap and Barrel since February, so it's been 9 months almost. Spices. Good God. Let's see how fast I can do this. me to be working with spices all the time, you know? How lucky can you get after getting fired? Pretty gosh darn lucky. And I will just say that it is quite amazing after all of this to know that I currently work for a company who is not afraid to put Palestine on their label for za'atar, because za'atar is a Palestinian food and not an Israeli food. It can be both, I guess, but they should give credit where credit is due. You're welcome for the free feet content too. I am a philanthropist, yes. And for newbies who want to know more about spices, Grind to Garnish is a booklet that Burlap and Barrel has a free e-version of on their website. So if you're interested in learning more about how to cook with different spices, how to bring out their flavors better, how to incorporate them in your cooking, you can either purchase this as a print book or you can just get the free version on site. It's just all in the browser. Okay, so now we cleared one shelf. And we're gonna dust it a little bit. Yes, I've liked working at Burlap and Barrel. I'm just a part-timer, but most of the team are kind of contractors. They don't have very many full-time employees. They are a small company, so it runs really well though. There's not really that kind of hierarchy that you might be used to at a lot of jobs. Everything has team input. It's pretty amazing to see it running like this, you know? Yes, I have tried the pizza hot sauce. It does taste a little bit like pizza. It tastes like they didn't really think this description would hit with the audience or with the collaborator, Lindera Farms, who brewed the vinegar and hot sauce that were used in the product, but it tasted like how Lunchables pizza marinara sauce tasted. It's got a very distinctive Lunchables vibe to it, but the hot sauce itself is appropriately hot. It's not like burn off your tongue hot, but it's there. The heat builds. I've had to like kind of suck air through my mouth to relieve. So you know. That's what's happening. Okay, do we think the boxes help? I think personally the boxes help me compartmentalize the groupings of spices. I also have to very quickly grab some jars that are not in this room. Bear with me. I will also say this. I gave the ranch powder to a friend, but if you're a fan of Sola Aweli and her husband Ham. They now have this new taco blend, which is meant to mimic like the hard shell tacos of Taco Bell in the 90s. They also have this pizza party, which amazingly smells like your neighborhood slice shop, with a lot of heat actually. Like not a lot, but a lot more than I was expecting. And then there's a ranch powder, which I feel like is a fan favorite. So now's the time to get the 3-pack if you're interested in this kind of cheeky Americana collaboration spice blend. Oh my god, I need more boxes. I think the bottom 2 shelves should be collaborations, because I feel like collaborations are often blends that deserve their own space. So let me see how to do this. How to do this, guys. Yes, liking your company's mission is very important indeed. The Fundamentals collection is missing a few items. These are the Floyd Cardos masalas. There's 6 of them. Okay, that was an easy collaboration lift. Next we have, yes, this is a good one. We have a Mark Murphy triplet, Surf and Turf, which has seaweed in it, Riviera, which is like a fancy Italian seasoning, and then Chef's Best Friend is salt and pepper. I know, I'm like salt and pepper, but it tastes really good. What can I say? I was really angry that it tasted good. I didn't want it to taste good. Let's see. Pickling starter, kitchen pepper, iru, which are fermented locust beans. They kind of remind me of Chinese black beans. And then we have the Sola and Ham, and these are kimchi flakes, which I think we sold out already, so I won't show you that one. Okay, next we have chilies. Raza is a collab, so that'll go there. Wow, this is much needed. Sola and Ham have 3 spice blends with burlap and barrel. So yeah, if you go on the site and you just search for Sola, you'll find the blends. The taco is a new release as of today, so get on it. I'm working up a sweat here, which is good because I did not work out today. I'm sorry for the white balance. Is that helping? Not really. What am I looking for? Smoke and garlic. Oh, the last God's love we deliver, which was up here. Am I selling spices now? Kinda. Yeah, that's kind of my side gig, or my main side gig, I guess. My other side gig is about to disappear anytime whenever YouTube wants to shut me down. Damn, girl, where the fuck is the cocoa and spice? You must be here somewhere. Ah, here we go. All right, now we have 3 Bon Appetit blends, and then 3 God's Love We Deliver blends. These are all collaborations. Fun. more Smurfy blend there. Then we can put the John Kung blends here. Cool. Then we have further, this is my favorite chili pepper mix. This is with Raza, which is a pizza shop in Jersey City, which Pete Wells of the New York Times named the best New York City pizza, which Pete Wells can go fuck himself. But it's pretty good pizza. It's not in New York City though, so. And then Ileana Maisonette's Saison and Adobo. She wrote Puerto Rican, what is it? Damn. She wrote like a Puerto Rican, Diasporican, I think is the name of her book. She's like a Puerto Rican chef. She's got a very loud social media personality. Delightful. I find that she and I are really on the same page when it comes to our DGAF energies. So I appreciate her very much. What else? And then we have the Reams California blends, which shame on me, I've never even used yet. I know. What am I doing? But she actually recently started getting harassed for her, you know, outspokenness regarding political viewpoints. So you might want to check her out. She might be someone who's really cool. I'll put the grillin' out here since that's also a collab. And we'll have another collab here. We have a lot of collabs. Unfortunately, I don't think I'm gonna fit everything in here. California Dry Chili Crisp is really fun. You can make a chili oil with this or just sprinkle it on. Chudo Porchetta. How am I gonna do this, guys? This is like impossible. Yikes. California Heat has red jalapeno, shallot, garlic, caramelized onion, smoked paprika, chipotle, Kashmiri chili, black pepper, black lime, salt, Timor pepper, lemongrass. It's really good. It gives you like a night market feel for sure. So if you're into that night market feel, do it to it. Their boxes are terrible when you receive them, so that's the way I've been using them. I've been trying to save some boxes, but I need one right now for my sorting needs. Nyanza Vanilla. Well, it comes in several forms. There's the powder, which you can incorporate straight into baking. There's the extraction kit, which it comes with chopped up vanilla pods, and you can just add your choice of liquor to it to extract it. As you can see, it's really dark. And then there's whole sticks, there's whole pods. It's a really good vanilla. I'm not sure I'm well versed enough in vanilla to like really give you more on that, but do I have any more collaborations put in here? Not sure. All right, cool. Now we get to the base spices. We have a lot. Let's start with the chilies. We have a hot paprika, one of my favorite chilies. Smoked paprika is really potent, and it's part of the Fundamentals collection, which I think I'm going to destroy now so that I can reorganize this the way I want to. That makes sense for me. There's a lot of chili peppers, so hold on while I sort them out. Cobanero, where are you? Okay, so we got hot paprika, sweet paprika, smoked paprika, we got chili cobanero flakes, we got whole cobanero, and then we got Kashmiri. And I feel like besides the smoked, these are all kind of the same. Oh, smoked and sweet out. These are all kind of like very similar vibes of chilies. Chili might be higher. Next chili. Okay, we have red jalapeno, sweet flakes. We also have silk chili. Then we have, looking for all of my chilies. Smoked chipotle belongs on here for sure. I feel like I'm missing one, but I can't really tell right now. Wait, no, there's a black urfa. I did just bring it in here. Where are you, black urfa? The black urfa is really delicious. Oh, here it is. Here we go. Guys, my period is kicking in. I might have to tap out soon, but it's been a pleasure to be with you all today. Thank you for tuning in, I guess, keeping me company in my misery. Black lime, and chili salt. Let's go for things that are a little bit tart on this one. Maybe hibiscus. I know it's like a sweet thing, but I feel like I would lump it in here. Black lime salt. What about Bursum fir salt? And maybe the two kelps. Actually, I'm gonna take this out and I'm gonna put black mineral salt on here, which I didn't even open yet. Okay. Does this make sense? No, this doesn't make sense. Let's see. Those belong somewhere else. Black mineral, black lime, smoked black cardamom maybe, and mango amchur. I feel better about this. This feels good to me. Whew, what's next? Let's do a little bit of dulse, kelp, fenugreek. Sure, let's find our whole fenugreek. I don't know if that makes sense either. I'm struggling, guys. I'm struggling a little bit here, but I'll have to do it. Black mustard, nigella, black mustard, nigella, maybe sumac. Oh, you know what? Sumac is tart. I feel like sumac belongs on there more than some of the other things. Ooh, this is getting so hard, y'all. Damn. Very difficult to choose what to go where in a way that makes sense to me. I feel like this might be my least used tray right here. Not because I don't like them, just because I'm not really familiar with the flavors yet, but I'll have to think about this a little more, I think. Yeah. Okay, folks, I'm gonna sign off here since I'm running out of battery and all of that, but I'll see you next time, hopefully soon. And if I don't, remember to keep checking in on what you want to do if you were to die in a week. It's important. Okay? Promise. See ya next time.